Every Ute on a showroom floor looks basically the same for the first 500 kilometers. Same new car smell, same tight panel gaps, same salesperson telling you it'll go forever. The truth about which ones actually do doesn't show up until well past 100,000 kilometers, long after the finance is signed and the warranty clock is already ticking down. I went through owner forums, workshop chatter, and publicly reported recall and legal history to get a picture of what tends to go wrong, roughly when it tends to go wrong, and which brands are quietly hoping you never connect their marketing to their service department's waiting list. 7 Utes, 3 worth real caution, 4 that have generally earned their reputation. Let's start with the one that generates the most workshop war stories. The Cautionary Tales 7. A badge with decades of trust, and a transmission that doesn't always share it. This Ute has been on Australian roads for close to 4 decades, and on paper it still ticks every box: dual cab layout, sharp pricing, a name people grew up around. A lot of the frustration owners report centers on the automatic gearbox. It's common enough to find complaints of slipping, harsh shifting, and heat-related faults appearing well before 6 figures on the odometer, especially in vehicles used for regular towing in hot climates. When that transmission does go, the repair conversation is rarely a small one, and plenty of owners find themselves just outside their warranty window when it happens. It's not the only recurring theme. Front differential concerns come up often enough in owner communities to be treated as a known risk rather than bad luck. And a particular flywheel component is enough of a talking point that some workshops now recommend addressing it proactively rather than waiting for it to fail. A newer generation now shares its underlying platform with a more highly regarded rival, which has fueled some optimism that the old issues are behind it, though it's genuinely too early to say whether that shared engineering actually changes the long-term durability story. For a tradie relying on this vehicle for daily work, a gearbox that starts acting up well short of its expected lifespan isn't a minor inconvenience. It's a real cost to the business. 6 premium badge, premium repair bills. If the previous entry disappoints on realization, this one tends to do it more expensively. A European badged dual cab that costs more up front and, when things go wrong, noticeably more to put right. Its multi-speed automatic, one of the vehicle's marketed strengths, has picked up a reputation among owners for developing hesitant or jerky shifts earlier in its life than buyers might expect. On the diesel side, turbo-related issues and injector problems are recurring topics in owner discussions, generally clustering in the vehicle's mid-life rather than showing up brand new. Emissions-related components round out the list of frequently mentioned warning light triggers. None of these are necessarily catastrophic failures in isolation, but European parts sourced into a market where the supply chain is built around Japanese brand volume tend to cost more, take longer to arrive, and often call for specialist labor, meaning a routine-sounding fix can turn into a multi-week wait here. Owner survey data has repeatedly placed this model toward the bottom of the segment for reported reliability, despite it commanding one of the highest price tags in its class. 5. A legend with a legal cloud hanging over it. Before anyone reaches for the comments section, this nameplate has genuinely earned its reputation, having spent years as one of Australia's best-selling vehicles on the back of real long-term durability. This entry isn't about undermining that overall track record. It's about a specific production window in the back half of the 2010s. A significant number of vehicles fitted with certain turbo diesel engines from that period became the subject of a large consumer legal action, centered on diesel particulate filters that reportedly didn't clear themselves properly under normal driving, leading to visible smoke, reduced power, and higher fuel use for affected owners. An initial software-based fix arrived a couple of years into the issue being reported, with a more substantial engineering revision following later still. That gap meant a meaningful number of owners spent an extended period driving underperforming vehicles before a proper remedy existed. The legal process around this has been running for years and, depending on how it resolves, could represent a very large compensation outcome across the affected fleet. Separately, more recent model years have also seen a targeted recall relating to an electronic steering assistance fault, linked to aftermarket accessory fitment on certain vehicles, a fault capable of affecting steering assistance unexpectedly at speed. If you're looking at a diesel from this nameplate built in that earlier window, checking whether the remediation work has actually been carried out and whether the vehicle is part of the legal action isn't optional homework. It's essential. Where the segment actually gets it right. For proof that shared engineering beats badge prestige. Here's where the story turns. Everything in the first 3 entries traces back to a manufacturer choosing complexity, image, or cost-cutting over a proven mechanical base. This next one did the opposite. This Ute shares its engine, chassis, and drivetrain almost entirely with a sibling vehicle from a manufacturer with a long history in commercial truck and engine production. That shared foundation is the single most important fact about this vehicle. Buyers who understand it tend to be among the more satisfied Ute owners around. The same diesel engine found under this badge is one that owners of its sibling model routinely report running well past 250,000 to 300,000 kilometers on nothing more than standard servicing. Resale values tend to track closely with that sibling too, sitting comfortably ahead of the 2 cautionary entries above. The one genuine drawback, particularly for regional buyers, is a smaller dedicated dealer footprint compared to the segment's biggest names. But in terms of what actually tends to go wrong mechanically, not much, and that's really the point. 3. The segment leader, with a read the fine print asterisk. This one needs nuance because it's Australia's best-selling vehicle overall, and that's not an accident. The flagship diesel variant is one of the strongest towing platforms in the class. The cabin technology leads the segment, and for the large majority of owners, it does exactly what the brochure promises. But sales figures and reported reliability don't always tell the same story. Overseas testing bodies have rated a recent model year of the international version below average for its class, though it's worth being precise that the international version runs different engines to the Australian model, so that specific rating doesn't map directly onto local cars. What does map more directly to Australia? A recent local recall affecting a meaningful number of vehicles addressed a manufacturing concern in the 6-cylinder diesel where a driveline component could fail under load. Earlier generation 4-cylinder models carry a well-documented history of oil pump, cooling, and injector complaints among owners. Individual accounts of vehicles needing repeated warranty visits aren't isolated anecdotes. They show up often enough across owner forums. What keeps this vehicle ranked this highly is that the current generation, properly serviced, has genuinely improved, and the dealer network, towing capability, and cabin refinement are hard to match. Go in with your eyes open, check the recall history for your specific build, and if buying used, have the 6-cylinder drivetrain inspected specifically before signing anything. 2. The fleet operator's default choice. There's a reason fleet managers who can't tolerate downtime keep choosing this nameplate, and it's the same reason Australian farmers across the country have kept them in the shed for generations. This isn't a car company that decided to build a Ute as a side project. It's a manufacturer with a century-plus history in commercial trucks, and that heritage runs through the fuel system, the differential housing, essentially everything underneath. The turbo diesel at its core has a genuinely strong reputation among Australian mechanics. Fleet operators reporting well over 250,000 kilometers without a major mechanical failure isn't treated as an unusual success story in this community. It's closer to the expected outcome. The fuel system is generally regarded as comparatively over-engineered, with filtration that holds up well even in harsh, dusty inland conditions. Resale data tends to back up the workshop reputation. This model is consistently one of the stronger resale performers in the segment, outside the outright sales leader, driven by persistent fleet and rural demand. A recently updated entry-level diesel option addressed criticism that the previous base engine was underpowered. The one honest long-term question mark is electrification. This manufacturer has generally been slower than some rivals to bring lower emission variants to market, and tightening efficiency rules may eventually apply some pressure here. That's a future consideration, not something affecting a 2026 buyer today. 1 is the vehicle everyone benchmarks against. And finally, the nameplate that sits at the intersection of everything covered so far. The nuance from earlier matters directly here. The legal action affecting this brand relates specifically to an earlier production window, well before the current engine arrived. A substantially updated engine has been in place for several years now and carries through to today's model, recently paired with a mild hybrid system on current variants. The numbers generally back up the reputation. This model tends to hold the strongest resale value in the segment, comfortably ahead of most competitors. For owners planning to keep their vehicle 7 to 10 years, its long-term reliability track record tends to produce lower total servicing costs than most of the competition. Its dealer footprint, especially strong across regional Australia, means help is rarely far away, no matter where you're working. What it can't match is the segment leader's cabin technology or towing muscle from the bigger 6-cylinder engines. One review memorably called it the king of mediocrity, which is a fair label if comfort and tech top your priority list. But for anyone who needs a vehicle still working flat out a decade from now, potentially parked in remote conditions for weeks between services, and whose trade-in value matters for whatever comes next, this is the one the rest of the segment tends to get measured against, built on a genuinely long track record rather than market copy. The pattern underneath all 7. Line all 7 up and one thing becomes obvious. Reliability in this segment was never really decided by the badge on the grille or the numbers on a spec sheet. It tends to be decided by what happens well past the 100,000 kilometer mark, whether the transmission holds up under sustained heat, whether the filter clogs in the dust, whether the engine can still clean itself properly after years of short trips and heavy loads. The brands that leaned on proven, truck-grade engineering rather than reinventing it tend to show up near the top of every workshop's informal reliability list. The brands that prioritized cabin tech, prestige positioning, or aggressive cost engineering tend to show up in the recall notices and legal actions instead. Neither pattern looks like an accident once you line the stories up side by side. If you're shopping this segment right now, the research that actually matters isn't happening on the showroom floor. It's happening in owner forums, recall records, and legal registers, well before you get anywhere near a test drive. The buyers who do that homework before signing, rather than after the first big workshop bill, are the ones spending their weekends doing what they plan to do with the vehicle, not waiting on a call from the service department. If this saved you from a decision you might have regretted a few years down the track, subscribe. There's more of this kind of ownership